The World Rapid Chess Championship 2022 was a gathering of some of the world's top chess players, all competing for the championship title in fast-paced games. Among these players were the reigning world chess champion Magnus Carlsen and the strong Russian grandmaster Vladislav Artemiev, whose impressive rating of 27-27 made him a fierce competitor. If you're not familiar with Magnus Carlsen, he's a Norwegian chess grandmaster and widely considered one of the greatest players of all time. With his impressive track record, having held the world champion title for 10 years since 2013, and the highest chess rating of all time, it's no wonder why he's a force to be reckoned with. In round 11 of the tournament, Magnus was leading by 1 point when he faced off against Artemiev in what turned out to be a highly anticipated match. Rapid chess tournaments are always exciting due to their fast-paced nature, and even the top players can make costly mistakes. In this game between Carlsen and Artemiev, we'll witness just how intense the competition can get, and how a single move can make all the difference. Artemiev started the game by moving his pawn to d4, and Carlsen responded by developing his knight to the f6 square. Artemiev then played his pawn to c4, opting for the queen's gambit opening. Carlsen had various options to continue his development, but he chose to play pawn to e6, signaling his intention to follow with bishop to b4, thus choosing the Nimzo-Indian opening. Artemiev continued his development by playing his knight to f3, and Carlsen followed his plan by giving a check with his bishop. However, Artemiev was quick to block this check by moving his bishop to the d2 square. The game was already shaping up to be an intense and strategic battle between these two skilled chess players. The game continued with Magnus capturing the bishop on d2, which left Artemiev with open choices about how to recapture the bishop. Artemiev chose to capture back with the queen instead of the knight, so that he could later develop his knight to the c3 square. Both players continued to develop their pieces, and after Artemiev castled his king, Magnus decided to make another pawn exchange in the center. When Artemiev captured back, both players had a symmetrical pawn structure. However, White now has a slight advantage due to the fact that all his pieces were already developed, while Black forces still needed some time to catch up. After Magnus developed his bishop to d7 with a plan to move it to c6 in the future, Artemiev rerouted his bishop to f3. After another piece exchange, Magnus played his rook to d8, creating an X-ray attack on the white queen. Artemiev escaped with his queen to c4. It was crucial to note that Artemiev had only 4 minutes on the clock compared to Carlsen's 12 minutes, and this time difference could be a crucial factor in deciding the winner of the game. Magnus kept pressuring Artemiev by chasing the white queen again with the other rook on c8, and Artemiev escaped to e2. The game continued with some maneuvers between both players. After exchanging the bishops and a pair of rooks, the game seemed destined to end in a draw with a symmetrical pawn structure and few pieces left on the board. However, being ahead in time and one of the best in-game players ever, Carlsen decided to keep pushing and put more pressure on Artemiev, who played solid moves. Artemiev activated his queen to the b3 square, attacking the b7 pawn, to which Magnus replied by playing the move pawn to b6 to protect the pawn. Artemiev then played the logical move rook to d1, activating the rook. And while everything seemed normal, Magnus played the move knight to e4. The seemingly normal move hid behind it a huge blunder, because now after playing the move pawn to f4, attacking the queen, followed by the move pawn to g4, Magnus can no longer protect the knight on e4. However, Artemiev now has less than 2 minutes remaining on the clock, so would he be able to find the best move in the position? Realizing the consequences of his mistake, Magnus tried to remain calm and keep a poker face so as to not give any indication to his opponent about the opportunity he had presented. After thinking for about 40 seconds, Artemiev played the winning moves, pawn to f4 followed by pawn to g4, leaving Magnus extremely disappointed with himself for making such a silly error at such a crucial stage of the tournament. Despite realizing that his position was hopeless, Magnus still tried to fight for a couple of moves. Meanwhile, Artemiev, who had only 1 minute left, managed to play very accurate moves, using his super active rook to attack Magnus' pawns. Magnus attempted to hold and protect his pawns with the moves knight to d6 and knight to c8, but after 2 more precise moves, namely a rook to a8 and rook to d8 by the Russian grandmaster, Magnus finally resigned. His knight was no longer able to withstand the activity of the white rook, and it was clear that the game was lost.